We don't have to know who our enemy is to defeat them. In this case, all we have to do is make ourselves great, and our enemy, and in specific ways that counter our enemy strategy. We don't need to know what they're doing. It's like the blacksmith does not need to understand quantum physics and like the physics of what he's working with to hammer the thing. He uses one block of known entities, one block of known function on another block of known function to hammer it into a shape. It's a similar analogy, but the point is that if you do the right thing, you don't need to know, or you don't need to be totally aware. You don't need to have read up on everything about the situation to win. It could help, and certainly our own intellectuals, people like us who discuss these things, should know as much as we can that's accurate. We should also be willing to innovate our ideas, so it's balance. But we should know this stuff, and it's right that we know it. But the society as a collective doesn't actually need to know who's attacking us. We just need to make ourselves better. And it's actually not that difficult. That's why I have a lot of hope for the culture war. It's obvious stuff that we were doing anyway, for the most part. But just it got a little bit too easy to purchase our politicians. It's particularly the US, but it's also other Western countries too. A little bit too easy, so replace the politicians with ones that know better and are held to that by the standards of the public who are their only support. And then for a while it won't be possible anymore. And other countries will start to fall apart because they relied on that method. Just like the Democrats rely on cheating to win elections. If you make cheating just a bit more difficult, they fall apart. And it will happen. It will happen if you, for example, you get Trump in, executive order day one, potentially laying out a few basic principles for federal elections that they all must follow. As long as there's some impetus that they do follow it, which there will be to a large extent more than you might think, then yeah, the Democrats are just fucked at that point. That's why I think they're so desperate not to let him in. Yeah, you know. Well, you know, Foucault, I don't often discuss the Jews specifically because, as I said, same with China. I'm not trying to avoid the issue, but same with China. You don't need to know who's doing it to know what the problem is. It's worth knowing, but you don't need to. And in this case, it is not just Jews who are anti-white. In fact, there's probably much, much more white people who are anti-white in the world today. Now, who's initiating it? Don't know. Maybe it's the Jews. But the point is, if we just repel the idea, we don't need to know. We don't need to care about it. So this is why I think the focus that a lot of people in Cabal, well, not a lot of people, but a lot of memes in Cabal have, Sick Puppy, for example, a lot of the focus that he has on Jews, perhaps this is why people are kind of sick of it. Because for one thing, a lot of those memes is like, okay, well, here's a really strong correlation. And like, they can't see the wood for the trees for their autism. They looked into all these people's early lives, but they didn't sort of make a connection of, okay, yeah, but are they actually doing it? And are they doing it because they're Jews? Like, you've given us the correlation, but this is not a complete argument. That's one problem with it. But moreover, it's like, okay, yeah, they're Jewish. Maybe that is the problem. But the solution has nothing to do with the fact that they're Jewish. Like, if you kick out all the Jews, then yeah, maybe if they are the sole source of it, it gradually heals. But you don't need to do that. And in fact, it's a stronger long-term strategy if the public simply doesn't buy this shit, which gradually more and more they aren't. So I don't know. Be aware of these things, sure. But you don't need to focus on the collectives. You don't need to focus on the demographics of the problem. You can just focus on the ideas, and on the culture, and on what's right, on making yourself better. There's sort of an element of resentment there, I think, and resentment's a bad pattern to fall into. In life, generally, the best advice I can give is if you want to change the world, if you want to improve things, if you want to be happy and successful, do not focus on negativity. As little as possible, focus on negativity. Become greater yourself. Be an exemplar. Let others see how easy you can live with your beliefs. Let others see how great it is to be like you. Be aware of the negative, but don't let it run you. Don't make it a part of yourself. It is important that we have people that do care about the negatives, but I don't think it's good for them. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself. Oh, is that a Michael Jackson quote? Okay, it's yeah. What he was saying was a bit less specific, I guess, but yeah, not far off. Yeah, like you are an individual bestowed by evolution with the responsibility to make yourself worthwhile. Do that first. Like, you have dominion of your own body and actions within reason. Do that first. Make yourself great first. And only then might you decide later to try to influence something else. And even then, influencing naturally, merely through your presence, is a far more accountable and reliable method of making sure that you're actually improving things. If you really do find it easy to live with your beliefs and you really are well liked for who you are, then you will start influencing people just passively, just by being there. Make yourself great again. Exactly, Mitch. I like that. Make yourself great again. That's what I like. None of you should be concerned primarily with like, hey, how do I start a protest? How do I like run for local government? Okay, that maybe you do that, but your primary goal should be to make yourself great again. Be the best you that you can be. And that's the best advice I can give to anyone. Be the best you that you can be. Don't try to be someone else. It's you, it's your course through life, but there is a gradient of better or worse. And it's context dependent as well. It's dependent on the environment you're in, but there's tendencies. So move towards the better end of who you are. And that's how you save the world. Because these things add up.